Welcome to today's episode. Let's talk about today's guest. We have Richard from Mindmaker, head of growth with them. How you doing today, Richard?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you on. And let's give what the listeners are tuning in for, Richard, in your own words. Can you tell us a little bit more about what Mindmarker is all about?
Yeah, absolutely. So we work with learning and development organizations to help them reinforce their training content. So we have a platform that we use for content creation that uses generative AI to make the process much more quick and much more engaging for their learners. We deliver the training via mobile app and email web browser. And they're short microbursts. So the concept is that we have scheduled timed learning for our learners where they master the three phases of behavior change. Awareness, they know what content they need to know. We test their knowledge and skills, so we want to make sure they know it. And then we really focus, the power of Mindmarker is on behavior change. We have them apply what they've learned and then self-reflect. How did it go? In an open-ended question or repeating survey questions. Through repeating survey questions, we can measure behavior change over time. So Likert scale questions such as, how confident are you when, or rate your ability, right? So as they progress through a few months of training reinforcement, we can gauge how impactful the program was.
And that's important to know. And so that way our listeners can get a good understanding of your company. Then what would you say is a key problem that you guys like to solve for clients?
So we have three different personas that we really focus on. Okay, so you have the administrators. Creating learning content is not easy. They have to go to get subject matter experts, pull them in. They have to talk to business leaders, and then they have to design their programs, right? So one of the biggest things that we help them with is by using Mindmarker Assist, our generative AI tool that has our 7 principles of reinforcement methodology embedded into the platform. It will help generate these Mindmarker programs for them. So they're saving a ton of time. It also helps with sales and marketing because that's a problem I have when I'm doing custom demos. What used to take me a couple of weeks to put a custom demo together, I can get done in a couple of hours. It's really amazing. The other persona, obviously, is the learner. We want to make it fun, engaging, and really impact how their job performance, right? So by getting these microbursts of information and having them apply in their daily job, they're going to be able to hone in those skills because that's where the learning really takes place, right? And then business leaders, for years, I've been in it for about 15 years now, are saying, well, does the training actually affect the performance? And it's always a qualitative answer, or conducting a ton of interviews and things like that. So through our robust analytics, we're able to show them that behavior change, and then they can correlate it to their KPIs to see if the training is actually affecting the learner's performance.
Definitely, that's important. And so then how would that be your only vertical segment, or is there an ideal ICP for you guys?
Ideal customer criteria is definitely large enterprise organizations that have trouble scaling with training. So we're very scalable and easy to adapt as well. We're training agnostic. We can work on hard skills. We can work on soft skills. Where most organizations come to us is for soft skills like sales training, leadership training, even DE&I is out there. But we also can do hard skills like compliance or systems training as well.
Okay, perfect, awesome. And so then how would they usually find out about you? Is there a top client acquisition channel for you guys?
Yes. So the biggest way we usually get inbound inquiries is from someone who has participated in one of our programs. So we have a robust strategic network of partners that use Mindmarker to reinforce their content. Right. So think major sales organizations, major leadership training organization or vendors rather. Right. So when these leaders and these salespeople are going through the program, they get to experience Mindmarker. And then when they show them the analytics, it's proven that it works. Right. So then they come back to us and say, does it only have to be sales training? And we say, God, no, we could do any kind of training.
Definitely. That's great to hear. And I mean, with all the overwhelming content out there, where do you get to learn like these any new marketing strategies to keep up to date with what's going on in marketing, Richard?
Oh, with marketing, so typically our marketing, do it from a thought leader perspective, right? So we do a lot of research, we do a lot of social listening. We want to hear what our customers are saying. All the information's out there, right? If you know how to pay attention, if you know how to listen. So what statistics are our customers putting out there or our prospects putting out there of what's important to them? Can we dig in deeper? Can we solve the problem, right? That they're putting out there? So we do most of our marketing via LinkedIn organically.
Okay, perfect, awesome. And well, let's switch gears a little bit, Richard, and let's talk about you. You being the head of growth there for Mindmarker. What are some key tasks you focus on your daily work?
So it's really, interviewing customers, understanding what their needs are, clearly outlining them, finding trends of things that enterprise accounts are struggling with within the training and development space. Do a lot of research on like SHRM or ATD, to name a few, Gartner, G2. I lean on Korn Ferry because I'm originally from Miller Heiman, who was acquired by Korn Ferry, and I've been following their research for over a decade. And using that content to really get strong messaging that resonates with the customers. Also, customizing and building collateral, as I mentioned earlier, for major accounts, I almost always do a custom demo unless they would prefer not.
Okay, awesome. Great to hear that from you, Richard. Now let's switch to our next section here, which is our rapid fire question round. Are you ready for the questions, Richard?
Let's do it.
All right. First off is what is the last book that you read?
Kirkpatrick's 4 levels of training evaluation. So being a sales and marketing person, I am not an instructional designer, right? So they do have their own language, to be clear, right? So I was talking to someone the other day, and I've known about Kirkpatrick's model for some time, but at the end of the day, I realized that there was a disconnect between the words I was using and the way they were using them. And almost every major organization uses Kirkpatrick's evaluation model to evaluate their training. So I wanted to get really smart on that. So that's the last book that I read.
Definitely. Okay, perfect. Awesome. Great to have that read there for our listeners as well. Next up is what is one single thing that your company is focused on at the moment the most?
Generative AI, all sorts of generative AI. Right. So we want to help all of our learning personas, and we're going to have a new one coming soon as well. But how can we use generative AI to help with content creation? How can we help use generative AI? We have a stretch goal of making L&D teams 40% more efficient in their design of learning and reinforcement. Right. Second, providing chatbots that are personalized and in tune with the content that the learners need to know. So basically, the learners can ask questions. The chatbot will only use the information provided in order to give them their answers. We also create trivia, like games, like a Jeopardy type style, breakout rooms. And then for the business leaders, we have them, a lot of the information we're pulling back from the learners, right? So we're working on using generative AI to evaluate that and give summary reports to business leaders to further educate them on what the training's doing for their learners. The fourth persona is going to be for the facilitator, right? So they're going to be able to upload the content. The learners, when they're not in front of the facilitator, will be able to do exercises with the generative AI, and then we'll generate a report that goes back to the facilitator. So then next time you're in a session with them, they're really smart on where your gaps are. They're really smart on where your strengths are. So you can focus your time on what's really necessary. Because what Gen AI does not do is critical thinking. It has no EQ whatsoever, right? And I think these are the skills that we need to really hone in on and focus on, and let Gen AI do all the heavy lifting with the automation of tasks, right?
I would totally agree with you. I don't think I could put it better. So it's like great to get that from you guys. And well, next up, Richard, is if there would be no boundaries in technology, what would be that one thing that you want to have fixed for your role as a marketer today?
So I think quality content creation. I spend a lot of my time. I want to spend all of my time in front of customers, whether that's pushing content to them or having conversations with them, right? So to be able to comb through all of this data and all of these opinions and then create our own perspective here at Mindmarker, it takes time to do a quality job. And we do a quality job. But if I could automate that, I'd be on the phone 8 hours a day, 9 hours a day.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Next is if there's one repetitive task that you could automate, what would that be?
I think, getting our message to the first question, getting our message out there to be as quickly artificial human as possible. So they are related, right? So if there were no boundaries in technology, if I could have support with the empathy, the EQ side of things, with the critical thinking skills that only humans are capable of. So I like to use that term artificially human, right? Instead of AI. So.
I mean, all right, perfect, awesome. And what Richard, lastly is, I mean, you do have a lot of experience already in the marketing world, but what is one piece of advice that you would give yourself if you were to restart your journey as a marketing sales today?
I love this question. I really do, because I reflect on that often. So when I was in school, LinkedIn and Facebook had just come out, right? So yeah, no idea. This is a neat tool. I can socialize with my friends. Great. I didn't really know much about it. So there was never any formal education. So my generation, we needed to figure it out ourselves, and generations older than us, right? So I think focus, listen. Social listening should not be a new concept. You should have known that day one, right? But I don't think that most of us did, right? So if I could go back to my former self and be like, hey, it doesn't always have to be your ideas. You can build on other people's ideas and everybody can collaborate to make it better.
Yeah, well, yeah, right. Great advice there for our listeners there. Hey, well, Richard, it's been a pleasure to have you on today's episode. But before we do end, I do want to give you the last word. If someone forgets everything about the interview today, what is that one thing they should remember about Mindmarker?
Mindmarker is here to help organizations be more efficient and be more engaging for their learners. We need learning to be fun. We need it to be edu training, not just education, right? We need to make learning stick. If we're going to evolve and get better at critical thinking, at empathy, at soft skills, right? Mindmarker can help you accomplish that. We can help give you those skills over time.
Definitely awesome. Well, to our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm looking forward to our next episode. And Richard, thank you so much for being on with us. Have a great day, guys.
Thank you for having me, Ernesto. Appreciate it.
No, thank you, Richard.